Have you ever heard the phrase, location is everything? In fishing, that can be especially true. In today's video, we're going to dive into why fish position the way that they do, where you can find them, and how we go about doing this every time we get on the water. That's what we were looking for right there, friends. That is a beaut. There are really 5 factors to consider when we are trying to understand how fish position and why they are where they are located when we go out fishing. The first one is season. You have to remember that fish are seasonal creatures. They have different urges at different times of the year. Let's just general ballpark this. In the winter, fish desire stable conditions that don't flow a lot in different situations. They want stability, they want routine, they want food, they don't want to expend a lot of energy when the water is cold. So seasonally speaking, in freshwater, you're looking at, your best classic positioning of in the fall and the spring, fish are going to be shallow and on the feed bag. In the summer and the winter, they're going to be spread out and they're really going to be chasing bait. And dependent upon where you are, that's really going to affect the starting places that you look for fish. So the first thing to consider is seasonal patterns. Now, inside of that seasonal pattern, you are going to have fish relating to different pieces of structure. So the second piece is structure. I know that in the fall and in the spring, fish are going to be very, very much structure dependent. They're going to live on flats, on depressions, on remaining pieces of vegetation. In the spring, they're going to flock to that new vegetation, to when those docks come in the lake, all of those different things. So really, structure changes with season. So you have to consider both of those things together. Now, here you've seen me catch a bunch of bass in the fall on a flat, they're on a trap. That is an excellent pattern in those times of year because that's where the fish are seasonally. Now, considering structure and cover, structure is a natural feature in the body of water that you're fishing, like an oyster bed or a shell bed or a grass line or a weed edge. But then you have to consider cover. So in the summer up in the North Country, I fish a lot of boat docks because fish are going to migrate there to get out of the heat of the day. You can end up catching a ton of bass up under docks all day. So you could say in the spring and the fall, I'm really considering seasonal patterns along with really what the bait is doing. In the summer, I'm considering seasonal patterns and really considering structure and cover. And that just is the first thing you want to keep in your mind when you go out to a new body of water or go out to a lake that you always fish. Don't go do the same thing. You want to understand what you should be looking for, right? Same thing goes in the winter. I want to understand, and a lot of people really put too much stock in this, but water temperature, right? I look at water temperature as my last deciding factor. If fishing up in the north has taught me anything about water temperature, it does not have as big of an impact as most people believe it does. I believe that the presence of bait, the presence of structure and cover in the season determine a bigger picture of where bass are going to relate than water temperature. The only exception to that is in the brutal cold of winter. We went up to the St. Joe River last week and literally we spent the day finding fish everywhere you could find in any kind of warm water. The water was 39 out on the main river. Back in the channels, it was 40 plus degrees, almost 50 in some places, and fish were schooled back in there. So in the most brutal cold conditions, water temperature becomes brutally important. But there are 4 other factors that I really consider before that, and before I really dive into understanding that, I really consider structure, cover, season, and the presence of bait. The other factor that we really haven't considered yet is current. Now, current can manifest in a lot of different ways. In a river system, it can just be straight up current. In a lake, they could be drawing it down and pulling current in different ways, generating electricity. In the ocean, you have tides that generate current. Huge shout out to Captain Dave and Captain Mike here. They do a great job of helping us understand how current has positioned these redfish in Bulls Bay on these docks. And really, when the water is not moving and the current is not pulling and the tide is not moving those fish around, they are settled down by these docks, and you really have to slow down and pick it apart. The presence of bait will keep these fish there, but current is a massively important factor in a lot of these areas. It's very important in the saltwater. It's also very important in fresh. The positioning of fish in current is something that you really have to learn by doing, and it's something that people who naturally fish areas of current understand because they grow up doing it. But when guys who fish areas without current a long time go to places with current, it really throws them for a loop. Think of wind direction as providing current in a lake next time you're in a place where you really, really, really need it.
Nice, dude. Oh, I almost had one too.
Better fish.
Oh yeah, it's a good one, man. Captain Mike getting it done. That was on the 1/4 ounce upgrade jig, and he put a Z-Man freshwater crawl on there. Well, what a lot of guys would use in freshwater anyway. Nice fish. That's probably a 23, 24 incher.
Yeah, that's a good one. Pretty one.
Fishing ultra slow. There it is, 1/4 ounce. Wow, great.
Pretty
Nice
good
fish, dude. All right, so Captain Mike's gonna take the drone out for a spin. We're looking to see if we can find some shallow redfish to get some nice drone footage for you guys. We're on a flat near some oyster rakes on the Intercoastal Waterway, and this time of the year the redfish really school up, so we're gonna use the drone to see if we can't find a school.
Watching these drone shots, you can truly understand the importance of being able to know the seasonal patterns, know where fish are going to hold, because right here you see 20-25 redfish grouped up in a very small area. If you didn't have seasonal knowledge on that one, you would have a hard time finding fish in this body of water. So when it comes down to it, locating fish based on seasonal pattern, the structure and cover they're inhabiting is super important. Water temperature plays a role, but I really consider it after thinking about seasonal pattern and structure and cover present. Current plays a role in there, bait fish play a role in there. One thing that LiveScope has taught us is that fish always follow bait. No matter the time of the year, you will always find fish around schools of bait. And it's just a good lesson to all of us to always make sure that you're matching the hatch, always know what baits you are throwing that fish are going to be eating. So match your baits to your seasonal patterns, to the bait fish that are present, to the crawfish that are present. Super important to do that. We really hope you enjoyed today's video, that you learned something about it, really considering those 5 factors when you go out and try to find fish and are locating them. If you guys like what's happening on the channel, give us a like, subscribe. Let us know in the comment section what you want to see in the future. We've got a ton of exciting stuff coming up, mixing in fresh water, mixing in salt water, mixing in some ice fishing. I know Caden's itching to get on the ice here, but just let us know in the comments what you want to see in the future. Hit up our links and help us out, help us help you become better anglers. We'll see you out there next time, guys.